Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at NuScale power. It is time for another update, and finally we have reached the area of support which we were tracking ever since we were somewhere around this time frame. Probably even before we formed this initial movement to the downside. And yet finally we have reached it. It has remained unchanged between the $29.4 all the way down to the $15.6 level at a 78.6% retracement. Now, even though we have reached it, there is no confirmation that we have bottomed at this point. We will be discussing about that, however, in a few moments, because I want to go quickly through the larger time frame first. And here we have been tracking a couple of different ideas, but both of them resulted in us tracking this idea of a 1-2 setup. So firstly, we have the possibility of considering this larger movement a wave 1, here a wave 2, then here another 1-2 setup, where we are looking to form a bottom in a wave 2 and start a very strong third wave to the upside. Then we have the interpretation in which we would consider here a series of 3 1-2 setups instead, but once again we are tracking the same area of support for this latest 1-2 setup, and as long as we hold here above the 78.6% retracement, we will continue to do so. And the structure, that the exact count that has been developing in this area previously, isn't really relevant to us as long as we are tracking this internal 1-2 setup, and yeah, as long as it holds, obviously. Now, in the shorter time frame here, we have been still tracking this area of support even while we were headed and we had formed an additional top, and we had a very relevant area of support internally in this area that would have told us, or not would have, actually told us, that it was very likely that this structure to the upside is not going to hold, and that we are going to see a reset and this structure unfold in an expanded flat pattern. Now, at the moment we are still tracking this as an ABC structure, but I do want to mention it is possible for different interpretations to be seen here. It could in the end be something like a WXY pattern, but the main idea is we are looking to find support in this area for the correction in a wave 2. Now, if we really are to track this as a wave C, it would have worked better in the structure we had in the previous video, where we were looking still for further continuation to the downside in this direct movement. And it doesn't seem to have been the case necessarily. We were hoping to form a more direct completion of the correction here in a wave C. We had this area of resistance, and as long as we held below the 50% retracement, we were still able to track a possible even impulse forming in this area within the wave 3. We broke above that, we used it as resistance afterwards, or sorry, as support, and then continued higher. Yeah, no surprise there, but still this was part of a larger movement where this could either be a 1-2 or an AB structure. And now we are looking for the follow-up to the downside. So in the white scenario, we can still track this idea of a 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th developing within a wave C, but we do need to form this as a 5-wave structure, and in this case we should be prepared for quite extended downside, because if this is indeed a 1-2 setup, we should be looking for an ideal target for the wave 3 at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, which in this case is the $21 level. And after that, we would be looking for a 4th, again in an ABC structure. It is an ending diagonal that is developing in this area in a wave C, and then an ABC structure within the 5th to the downside to complete the larger structure, the larger correction in the wave 2. But as I just mentioned, other interpretations are possible within the wave 2, so we are going to also track here a possible WXY pattern, in which we really only need to complete this singular wave to the downside. We don't even need something like an ABC within this larger wave 3 as we would in the white scenario. We really only need a singular 5-wave structure to the downside to have this pattern complete. And in this wave Y, in fact, we are tracking an ABC to be unfolding in this area. Now, as I just mentioned, within the wave C, we are expecting a 5-wave move, and this could take a couple of ways in development, because I could also be tracking it as an impulse, And in that case, we could see here a 1 2, another 1 2 here, a couple 1 2 here. Yeah, we have a very large series of 1 2 setups in this area for the idea of an impulse. Then another 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, fourth here, and a fifth that would be unfolding at this point. Now, if this really is the case, we can track a very tiny internal 1 2 3 fourth and the fifth developing in this area in the blue scenario, and in that case we would be watching out for resistance for this wave 4, this internal wave 4, at the levels between the $28.4 all the way up to the $30.3. Now, if we end up going a little bit higher, I could allow maybe for this internal wave 3 to be complete, yeah, this to be the entire wave 3, and have here a fourth. We could allow for a bit higher prices to the $30.7 level maybe, but yeah, not much of a difference. However, if we break above this level, I would have to certainly consider that this has failed to form as an impulse to the downside, and I would need to resume to tracking it as a possible diagonal pattern in something like a 1 2 3 fourth and a fifth that could still complete this structure within a 5-wave move. And even if this fails, well, we either have a bottom already done, or we could consider, yeah, we should be watching out rather, and I didn't mean to drag this, but this. But yeah, if even that structure fails to hold us lower and form at least one more low, yeah, we need at least one more low to have this structure complete within the wave C, we will likely have to be tracking this larger structure in white in an ABC pattern, where we should be prepared for quite extended downside. So this is one of the cases where pushing lower actually is better for the chart and allows us to find a bottom sooner. But yeah, for now, we are still not even within the area of resistance here in the blue scenario. And what I would watch out for in terms of larger areas of resistance would be, in this case, yeah, honestly, we could allow it even from this stop, to be honest, for the third wave. But I will only be leaving here the 61.8% retracement on the chart, and we will be tracking this under, let's say, the orange interpretation, where if we break above the $36.8 level, we should be watching out for the white scenario, because it will be the likely interpretation at that point, because I don't have a full count here. I could have a full count within a wave A as of a wave A of a larger wave 3, where this would develop into an ABC pattern, no problem, but I don't really have a 5-wave structure to the downside, and I do believe that if we are to break above this level at this point, it is rather more likely that we will follow through here in this white scenario where we are in the larger wave 3 still. Now, before we close this up, I want to also add here a count in the orange interpretation, but I also want to point out that from a larger time frame perspective, only slightly larger, an ideal target for the wave C to the downside is the $26 level at the 100% extension. Now keep in mind, it doesn't need to get there and it doesn't need to stop there in general, but if we actually don't get there in the case of this chart, yeah, I would resume once again to the white scenario. And if we actually push lower, I would expect in both the orange and the blue interpretations to still go lower in the case of this chart. And yeah, I don't remember if I mentioned for the white interpretation, the target is the 138.2% extension, the $21 level, the ideal target. And then, yeah, we would still expect a fourth and a fifth to complete the larger pattern. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.